Sacramento's Ohana Dance Group is a nonprofit, multi-generational hula halau where students of various ages, backgrounds, and abilities are exposed to the Hawaiian culture and music through traditional hula. And as part of AAPI Heritage Month, we're welcoming one of the members of the Ohana Dance Group to tell us more about how they're sharing the culture with the community. We have Bernadette Nakamura, also known as Kupono. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
So start by explaining the concept of a halau and tell us about its purpose.
So a traditional hula halau is, some people think, is just a group that meets together and dances. It's more of a lineage that we follow. We are taught by a kumu hula, who was taught by a kumu hula, and this tradition goes back ages. It's an ancient tradition. So they train for years to become a kumu. And the lineage is what is important in a halau. The culture that is, the traditions and culture that is shared throughout the years and from each generation to generation is telling the stories of ancient Hawaii. And so it's our purpose just to share this with the community, teach others about it, just so that we can continue it for generations to come.
And obviously, teaching dance, that's a big part of what you're doing, but the halau includes so much more. What are some of the other things that people will learn?
So we teach the vocabulary. So we want to make sure that when our dancers are dancing, they understand the stories that are being told. Because frequently people hear, when they go to vacation in Hawaii, they hear the Papa Hauli. So it's the English music. So they understand what's going on. But as a dancer, we dance a lot of Hawaiian numbers, and that is using the Hawaiian language. So they need to understand exactly what the story that is being told, and part of that is understanding the vocabulary. So we teach the vocabulary, we teach the ancient history and the ancient stories, so that kind of the connection, what we call a pilina, the connection to that story is felt as they're dancing. So it's not just movement. There's a difference between being a dancer and just dancing. Being a dancer is understanding exactly what you're doing. And that's part of what is important about a halau, is educating the dancer about what they're doing so that the stories continue to be told correctly and appropriately.
Yeah, why is it so important for you on a personal level to be able to promote your culture and share this information?
It's important to share the culture and history because when Hawaii was taken over by America, it was colonized, and their history and the culture and hula itself was removed from them. They were not allowed to speak their language. They were not allowed to share. So they had to kind of go underground to teach the hula to the families themselves. And so at this point, it's starting to get really more known, and the Hawaiian language in Hawaii itself is actually being taught more. So at the University of Hawaii, they actually have classes that are teaching the culture and the language so that it can be shared for generations to come.
Yeah, it's making a big comeback, and that's great that you can share it here locally in Sacramento. You talked about what you'll maybe find in one of the classes. What kind of impact do you think you're making, the Ohana Dance Group here in Sacramento?
Well, we're getting, part of why we became a nonprofit is to get that information out, and it's to expand it to the mainland. A lot of Hawaiians have moved to the mainland, and they don't have a connection to their culture because they are here. But it's important that we share it so that when people do go back, they understand the significance and the importance of Hawaii and the history itself. It's not just the Waikiki quick dance.
Right.
And then we also have a lot of misconceptions.
So how long have you guys been here in Sacramento, and what's some of the other programming you're involved in?
So we've been in here in Sacramento since 2003. Ohana was established. It became a nonprofit in 2010. And we now are sponsoring a play group, a preschool play group with Sacramento's First Five called Aloha and Little Hands. And we want to start them young, so we teach the young children starting at 2 years old with a monthly play group.
That's awesome. And so how do you stay connected with the community and the culture, being that, you're a little far from the islands?
So I am a kokua, and I have weekly lessons with my kumu, and then I also have classes at the University of Hawaii with history, language, the mo'olelo, which are the stories of Hawaii. And then I also meet with Lehua Kawai Kapuokalani, who is our connection to our lineage. And I meet with him and we learn olelo, the language itself. So whatever I learn, I take as the kokuakumu to my students, the haumana and the halau.
That's awesome. Bernadette, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing what you're doing here in the community to share your culture. That's great. And if you want to get some of that aloha spirit, you can visit ohanadancegroup.com.